Nothing sucks more in drywall than having long exterior corners and seeing seams in between the corner beads. You gotta check out this flexible corner bead. I'm Danielle, and welcome to De-cor Homes.
Hi there, Corey from De-cor Homes here. On today's episode, we're actually using this Mid-Flex 300 by CGC. This is great because it's a flexible tape. As you can see, it comes in a roll. And the cool thing about it is, contrary to regular tape, it's got this metal middle section, okay? So it makes it extra firm and extra strong. The only thing you have to do though is that the edges of the paper often bend easily, so what we want to do is make sure that when you're bending this in half, you bend from the middle and not from where the paper is, okay? So always try to bend more from, so we bend in the middle like this, and then we slide our finger down to make the bend, okay? So when you get this box, you're gonna see this little hole here, okay? And it's gonna be awfully tempting to use this little hole here. See this little hole? But don't do it, because when you put the paper inside that hole, the box grips this full roll. Maybe when the roll is smaller it might work, but when the roll is brand new, and if you try to use this, you're gonna be pulling as hard as you can, and you're gonna be damaging the side of your paper. So don't use that. It was a great idea, CGC, with your little easy access hole, but I wouldn't use it because I've tried and I made a fool of myself. So we use these guys on our big lengths here. You're gonna see us do this long length. This length is 187.5 inches long. I just remembered that from when we measured. And then the one in the other room that we did was 126 inches. Let's check it out. This was freshly done as of probably 2 hours ago. It's still actually kind of wet a little bit. But it's great because there's no seams when you're using a corner, an outside corner that's longer than 8 feet. Normally, you put on your corner beads and you screw it on, but this is one long piece, so it works great. Another fantastic thing about this paper is that it can also be used on inside corners. So if you have an inside corner that's beaten down badly, the inside corner can be easily fixed up with this special tape. Another thing to note about this is that there's Mid-Flex 300. It actually comes in different sizes. This is a 3-inch tape, okay? It's 3 inches wide, and then when you bend it, each side is 1.5 inches, all right? And this stuff's fairly expensive. Going over pricing and stuff like that, I do know that this stuff does range. So compared to the regular tape, it is quite a bit more expensive, that's for sure. Because the regular tape is just paper, whereas this stuff, it has a metal built into the inside, and it has an outer layer of tape. So yeah, this whole section here was all done using that and the other section, and we wouldn't have been able to do it with a regular metal quarter bead because there would have been a seam in there, and the seams are just undesirable. So this stuff can be a little bit of a challenge to do. You'll see in the video that we ran into some issues. Doing this by yourself is not really the way to go because you have such a long length. And also, when we did this corner, we didn't fully fill in the inside corner. We just put the mud on the outside, which was a mistake, and you'll see that in our video. The game plan when we're first putting on this mud is that we have to use a mud compound, like a sheetrock, okay? Sheetrock is almost like cement, and it doesn't crack as easily as an all-purpose mud that comes in a bag, in a box that you have to empty out in a bucket. Like, come on. So with this sheetrock compound, it doesn't crack as easily. It hardens within 30 minutes to be able to apply your second coat, or you can wait until the next day, and instead of sanding your first coat, what I always do is just take a trowel and I scrape off all that junk and stuff like that, all the little frays and stuff, because a taping knife scrapes it off really easily and without having to scrub really hard and stuff like that. And then you can give it a quick sand, but the idea is not to sand super hard on your first coat because you're really just trying to get your base coat. Your second coat is when you want to take more time sanding, and your last coat is just touching up some small sections. You'll mark with a pencil where it needs some attention, and that's your third coat. So it's just a mark here and a mark there. With my experience working with this tape, the one thing I can really say is that when you're putting it on the first time, you really have to put it on and squeeze as much out as possible. These edges sometimes get a little ripple to them, and what you really need to do is try to pull out as much of that mud as possible so that it's literally stuck onto the wall. Other than that, that's your main challenge. If you don't have a second person, that can be a challenge too. You'll see I kind of made a fool of myself, but I eventually got it, and I'll be honest, I think it looks pretty darn good. Like, have a look. For a first coat, that's not bad. Even though I look stupid while doing it, to be honest, it's finished. Camera person's laughing at me, but that's fine. When we're trying to bend this flex tape here, I push down in the very center and I'm pushing on the outside, but where the metal is. See this? So I'm pushing right around here on the outside. If you touch the outside paper, this paper bends really easily and it can rip. A good example is that it's already ripped right here. Okay. So anyways, I push down like that, and then from there, I just slide my finger across the middle. I just slide my finger across the middle here. And then we just keep going. Let's just get right into it, and let's do it. You have to make sure that when you're putting this mid-flex on, that your mud is on the thinner side so that the tape can really stick. I'd say the biggest benefit to this mid-flex tape is that it does all angles, not just 90, not just 45, but everything in between. You just bend it to shape and you're good to go. Alright, so the first thing you do is you push your mid-flex tape all the way in. That way you get as much of a seal and connection as you possibly can. Once you push the tape as far as you can possibly push it in, the idea is that you want to pull it out a hair. So the reason why you pull it out is because you want a little groove in between this corner and the top. So like I said, if we need to pull this tape out, what we're trying to do is achieve an angle, a little bit of space in between here and the top of the ceiling, okay? So we're gonna pull it out just a hair. We know that it's already connected because we pushed it in. Pull it out a bit. The reason why you would want to apply your mud heavily on corners when you put on your corner bead is that when you push it all the way in and then you pull it out, it creates a vacuum that ends up holding the corner bead in. Let's pull off the tape. We need, hurry up quickly. Perfect. Get this welded. Now, a lot of different companies offer paper-faced composite drywall tape. But CGC offers two different sizes. Their Midflex 250 and their Midflex 300. The 250 is 2.5 inches wide and the Midflex 300 is 3 inches wide. Now notice when I'm squeezing out the mud, I'm dragging my taping knife at a 45-degree angle. So all I'm doing in this process is I'm just taking out all of the mud out from inside of this corner bead. I'm just trying to get everything out as much as I can, and then once it's all out, then I'll reapply it perfectly flat. But getting everything out will assure that the paper is actually pressing firmly against the ceiling, okay? Because that's the thing, we want to avoid having bubbles in our tape. And when you have bubbles in your tape, the only real way to fix it is to cut it out and mud over it. So we're doing pretty good so far. Always have a bucket next to you, that way if anything falls, it falls directly in the bucket. So this is after one coat.
You made it to the end. Make sure you check out our other videos and subscribe.